welcome back or welcome to my channel. I am Ash and today we're doing a massive book haul. I'm so excited because I have books that Chris picked out for me, I have books that my friend Kat picked out for me, and I am so excited to add these to my TBR cart. I can't wait to read them. I am going to start with the 3 books that my friend Kat picked out for me. And the first one is going to be What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. As always, we read the backs of the books here, and this book here is a depiction, words are hard, of the fall of the House of Usher, which is one of my most favorite Edgar Allan Poe poems. The back of the book reads, "I'm a friend of the Ushers, I say." The servant nodded gravely at this information. "Would you like to come inside?" "Yes," I said, aware that I was lying. I did not want to go into that tired house dripping with fungus and architectural eyes. But Madeline had summoned me, and here I was. I am so eager about this. I have read multiple adaptations. I'm excited to give this one a try. Next book we have is Credence by Penelope Douglas. This one, Kat said, is going to be very dark. Tiernan de Haas doesn't care about anything anymore. The only child of a film producer and his movie star wife, she's grown up with wealth and privilege but never love or guidance. And when her parents suddenly pass away, she knows she should be devastated. But she's always been alone, hasn't she? Jake Vanderberg, her father's stepbrother, assumes guardianship of Tiernan after moving to the mountains of Colorado to live with Jake and his 2 sons, Noah and Caleb. Tiernan quickly learns that these men now have a say in what she chooses to care and not to care about anymore. As the 3 men take Tiernan under their wing, she slowly finds her peace among them, but lines blur and rules become easy to break when no one is watching. They each want her, but only one of them is going to keep her. I've already been forewarned that this is very dark and very creepy and very weird, so if you end up picking this up, maybe look up some trigger warnings that might go along with this book. I am into dark and creepy. Not everybody else is. The next book Kat told me made her cry, made her sob, and I want to pick it up if I can in July, just so that her and I can talk about this. She's trying to keep up with how quickly I read. I'm hoping that we'll be able to kind of stick side by side with this. Oh, and the author already has a next novel out. So this is called You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao. 17-year-old Julie Clark has her future all planned. Move out of her small town with her boyfriend Sam, attend college in the city, spend a summer in Japan. But then Sam dies, and everything changes. Heartbroken, Julie skips his funeral, throws out his belongings, and tries everything to forget him. But a message Sam left behind in her yearbook forces memories to return. Despite to hear him one more time, Julie calls Sam's cell phone just to listen to his voicemail recording, and Sam picks up the phone. The connection is temporary, but hearing Sam's voice makes Julie fall for him all over again, and with each call, it becomes harder to let him go. I didn't read the back of this book. Most of the time when I read the backs of the books, it's while I'm with y'all, but Kat told me she sobbed at this one, so I was like, I could use a good cry. Who can't just use a good cry every once in a while? I now don't know how much I'm looking forward to this book, but we're gonna read it. The next 2 books I have in this list are books that the internet convinced me to get. And the first one is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I'm sure so many of you have heard about this book. It's a funny story. Daphne always loved the way her fiancé Peter told their story, how they met on a blustery day, fell in love over an errant hat, and moved back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. He really was good at telling it right up until the moment he realized he was actually in love with his childhood best friend, Petra. That's all I'm going to go into on this because I feel like this one gives away quite a bit. And usually I don't mind, but if any of you haven't read this, I don't want to give it away. It's supposed to be a funny kind of roommates to lover trope, and I don't do a whole lot of romance reading, so I'm kind of eager to give this one a shot and see what I think. Next book, also internet, is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Rue Siebert might not have it all, but she has enough. A few friends she can always count on, the financial stability she yearned for as a kid, and a successful career as a biotech engineer at Klein, one of the most promising startups in the field of food science. Her world is stable, pleasant, and hard-fought until a hostile takeover and its offensively attractive frontman threatens to bring it all crumbling down. Eli Kilgore and his business partners want Klein, period. Eli has his own reasons for pushing his deal through, and he's a man who gets what he wants, with one burning exception, Rue. The woman he can't stop thinking about, the woman who's off limits. I've read mixed feelings about this book online, and that was part of the reason I really wanted to give it a shot, because whether I hate it or love it, at least I read it, and I can have a view or not on it, on whether I like it or not. So I thought this would be a lot of fun, and it's very much out of my wheelhouse of books that I usually read. So I'm eager to give it a shot. I don't know. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll hate it. Getting into my wheelhouse of books that I absolutely love. I'm just finished The Shining. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. I can't wait until my end of the month wrap up. I got Night Shift by Stephen King. And this is his first collection of short stories. I'm so excited to read these because it's got Graveyard Shift, Night Surf. The basis for The Stand is what Night Surf is about. Quitters Incorporated and Gray Matter. And apparently many more. I've never read a book of short stories. I have like a few of them on my shelf, like the Grimm's Fairy Tales. I think I have the short stories of Ernest Hemingway. I figured because I am reading all of Stephen King's novels from date of publication that I can't pass up on his short stories. So that's what I'm gonna give a shot to. I purely got this one because it has a Stephen King blurb. It is Hell House by Richard Matheson, and it states from Stephen King, the scariest haunted house novel ever written. For more than 20 years, Belasco House has stood empty. Its shadowed walls have witnessed scenes of unimaginable horror and depravity. The townsfolk refer to it as Hell House. All previous attempts to probe its mysteries have ended in murder, suicide, or insanity. But now a new investigation has been launched, bringing 4 strangers to the main mansion in search of the ultimate secrets of life and death. A wealthy publisher brooding over his impending death has paid a physicist and 2 mediums to establish proof of life and death once and for all. And for one terrible night, the group will investigate the property and end up fighting for their very souls. If Stephen King calls it a scary book, it's a scary book. If Stephen King tells me to read something, chances are I'm gonna read it. I have fallen in love with Stephen King's writing, and I kind of feel like he's not gonna steer me wrong of a good book. With that being said, this is going to be the first book I read based off of Stephen King's recommendation. So I'm contemplating doing that more, like specifically finding books that are like blurbs. I'm very excited. The next book in my haul is going to be one that Chris picked out for me, and it's actually a Nicholas Sparks book I've never read, and I've read most of his writing, A Walk to Remember. I don't know if you all have seen the movie. I'm going to read the back of the book. There was a time when the world was sweeter, when the women in Beaufort, North Carolina wore dresses and the men donned hats. Every April, when the wind smells of both the sea and lilacs, Landon Carter remembers 1958, his last year at Beaufort High. Landon had dated a girl or two and even once sworn that he'd been in love. Certainly the last person he'd thought he'd fall for was Jamie Sullivan, the shy, almost, I have a hard time with this word, ethereal daughter of the town's Baptist minister. Jamie, who's destined to show him the depths of the human heart and the joy and pain of living. I love this movie. I've watched this movie so many times, and it broke my heart. I can only imagine the book is going to do the same, unfortunately. I may end up cutting this video into 2 parts because I have a lot of books here still. I have 10 books here still. So I'm going to do one more, and then maybe next week I'll do another haul. This one is A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World by C.A. Fletcher. I almost didn't pick this book up. This magnificent, beautiful book I almost didn't pick up because Chris was like, if something happens to the dog, you're gonna cry. I was like, I know if something happens to the dog, I'm gonna cry. Everyone I've told about this book is like, if something happens to the dog, you're gonna cry. For some odd reason, I still want to read it. My name's Grizz. I've never been to school, I've never had friends, and in my whole life, I've not met enough people to play a game of football. My parents told me how crowded the world used to be before all the people went away. But we were never lonely on our remote island. We had each other and our dogs. Then the thief came. I know I'm gonna cry if something happens to the dog. I already know, but isn't it gonna be worth knowing the dog? That's kind of where I'm sitting at with it. It's like, at least I'll know the dog. It's epic in scope, enthralling, and full of human warmth. That's the blurb from M.R. Carey. I'm excited. I wish I had like a month where I could just read every book on my TBR cart, but I do think I'm gonna save the next 9 for a different haul because I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I feel like I've been blabbing this whole time. If y'all have any book recommendations for me, if y'all read any of these books and you want to give me your thoughts, your feelings, your ratings on what these books are, let me know down in the comments. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my video, and I don't know, I'm still awkward with these outros. I don't know how to end a video. Yeah, I guess I'll just catch you in the next video then. Bye.